आप इंजॉय करें और लास्ट तक जरूर देखिए। असम, तो पहला है गेटवे टू नॉर्थ ईस्ट। तो असम को गेटवे टू नॉर्थ ईस्ट बोलते हैं। असम is the land of the stunning beauty, which it has the unexplored mountain range, the evergreen forest, rare the wildlife mesh of river, dominated by the Brahmaputra and Borak, expensive tea gardens, oil field, varied fair and the festival and the pilgrims trails. Located in the northeast India, between the latitude of 24° and 28° north and the longitude of the 90° and 96° east, and at the south of the eastern Himalaya, Assam or the Assam has and the areas of 78,438 38 square kilometer. Square the emitted the young the mountain in the upper and the south Assam and the old mountain in the lower Assam are the valley of the Brahmaputra and the Borak rivers. Geographically, Geographically, Assam is the connected to the rest of the Indian via a 22-kilometer land strip in the West Bengal, popularly, popularly known as the Second Neck near the Siliguri. Assam the share an international border with Bhutan and Bangladesh. Land and peoples. Assam human landscape is the colorful and the varied as are the physiography. It has been the meetings group of the diverse ethnic and the culture stream. The people from the various trades, including the Austroasiatics, Dravidians, Tibet Burmans, Mongolians, and the Aryans have also made Assam their home. In reaching the peoples of the state, the ethnic groups of Assam include the Bodos, Dimasa, Karbi, Tai, Ahom, Mising, Rabha, Deuri, and Tiwa. The total population of Assam is 30.57 million according to the census 2011. Assam is mainly an agriculture state, where the generally two variety of the paddy, namely the winter paddy and the autumn paddy, are grown. Jute is also the cultivated in the low-lying areas. The major industries in the state are the petroleum and natural gas, coal, limestone, granite, tea, and the tourism. Some other industries are the fertile. Some other industries are the fertilizer, sugar, paper, rice mill, food processing, and the sericulture. Some the traditional industry are the bell metal works, the bamboo and the can works, the spinning of the inding, muga and the part silk, wood carving, carpentry, meta work, the poetry, weaving, etc. Silkworm, the rearing, the reeling, the spinning, and the weaving have been as got the practice in Assam, handed down from one the generation or to the another. Muga extract from the real silk mount the Antheria Assama has been in the use in the Assam from the Vedic as during the Ahom dynasty. It was made the obligatory for every household to the website. Muga part eri by ending are the basic raw material for a hand woven the silk fabric in Assam. The muga has the natural golden color and rare sheen that becomes the more the limestone with every wash. The part is the white mulberry silk to the while the eri is the warm silk that suitable for the winter. is the ethnic groups of the state has it is on the distinctive design and style. Sualkosi, around 35 km from Guwahati, is the biggest silk weaving center in Assam. There are the more than 3,000 weaving in and around this the silk cultural village often they refer to the to as the Manchester of the East. Weavers in Assam they produce the Mekhala Sador and Riha traditional apparels for the Assamese people. Shari, Dhara and the Jainsan traditional dress of the Khashi women. Dora Sador bridal dress and the Gamusa the handloom the sector contributing the significant to the economic of the state. In 1947, when Mahatma Gandhi visited the Sualkusi village, he the words the weavers in their loom and said the Assamese women weave the dreams on their looms. Besides this, the Assam has the rich tradition of the craft can and the bamboo craft, bell metal and the brass craft, toy and mugs, making the ivory work, the pottery and the terracotta work, woodcraft, jewelry makings and the musical instrument makings have the remain as the major tradition. The garden in Assam, the tea garden the tea garden in Assam do not follow the Indian Standard Time (IST). The local time is Assam the tea garden known as tea garden times or the Bagan times is an hour ahead of the IST. Indian Standard Times the system was introduced during the British day in view of the early sunrise in this part of the country. Tea is considered as the most important crops in Assam. It has been producing some of the finest tea in the world. Assam contributed to about the 51% of the tea produced in the Indian and about the 1/6 of the tea produced in the world. The state of the Assam is the world's largest tea growing region. Lying on either side of the Brahmaputra River and bordering Bangladesh and Myanmar, this part of the India experienced high participation during the monsoon and as such the daytimes the temperature rise to the about the 96.8 Fahrenheit, creating the greenhouse like the conditions of the extreme humidity and heat. The tropical climate contributes to Assam tea's unique multitask. At the Fisher's Ford, which it is the well-known tea was declared the state drink of Assam in 2011. There are 765 tea estates in Assam and more than 10,000 smaller gardens than together they produce 517 million kg tea annually. In Assam, the tea plant is grown in the lowland, unlike the Darjeeling and the Nilgiris, where it is grown in the highland. The Assam tea burst and grow in the lowland region in the valley of the Brahmaputra River. The tea industry contributions to the economy of Assam is significant as far as the employment is concerned. It provides direct employment to the more than half the millions workers in the state of which the 50% are women. This industry on and the average employed about 531,000 workers per day in the Assam against the 789,000 across India. Oil industry of Assam. Assam is the oldest oil producing state in India. The major oil fields in northeast India are those in the Brahmaputra Valley of Assam and it is the neighboring areas. The important oil field of the Assam are the Digboi, Naharkotia, and Moran Hugrizan. Other oil fields have been discovered at the Rudrasagar, Shivsagar, Lakwa, Geleki, and the Badarpur, Barhola, and Amguri. There are 4 refineries in Assam by the Bongaigaon, Digboi, Guwahati, and the Numaligarh. Established and Indian established. It is the first refinery in Digboi in the year 2000, in the year 1901. Festival and dance. The Assamese culture is the rich and the exotic drapery of the many races that innovate through the long assimilative forces. The Bihu is the most popular festival and represent the essence of Assam. It denotes a set of 3 different festivals of all the peoples, irrespective of the caste, creed, religions, faith, and belief. The word Bihu is derived from the language of the Dimasa Kasari, who have been the agrarian since times the immemorial. Their supreme god is Barai Sibrai. The first produce of the seasons is the offered to the Barai Sibarai, while thus wishing for the fishes and the prosperity. Bai means to ask, and Shu means the pieces and the prosperity in the world. Hence is the what the Bishu gradually become the Bihu. To the accommodate linguistic preference, the Rongali Bihu marks the advance of the spring and the first day of the Hindu solar calendar. The first day of the Rongali Bihu is called the Goru Bihu, where the cow are the worshipper. The Rongali Bihu is celebrated with the great pomp and the grandeur and the famous the mesmerizing Bihu dance. On the beat of the drums and the flute, the enthralls everyone. This joins the dance is performed by both young men and the women, and is characterized by the bricks dance, the step and the rapid hand and the hip movement. Another dance from the during the Bihu is the Husori. It is the kind of the carols singing by a group of the young men and women. The Husori party visit the house from one end of the village of the other, singing the Husori song. With the religions, the themes on the beat of the drums, cymbals, and the bamboo instrument called the toka. Bihu, the dancer, wear traditional, the colorful Assamese clothing. The women wear the mekhla sador, riha, and the man wear the dhuti and the kurta mat of the mugasir. The traditional dance of the Bodos in Bagrumba. There are also the specific day and the times to the perform this the dance in Kherai Puja of the Bodos, in which they worship the Batho or the sheep. The girls must perform the religious dance in the front of the altar. Likewise, in the Devdhani dance, the girl dance on the beat of the kham, drum, and the sipang flute, portraying many details from the ship to Lakshmi. The Dimasa dance form is called the Baidima. Bishu is the important festival celebrated by the Dimasa Tiwas in the Dimoria. Have a traditional Bihu dance called the Lalilang. For the Karbis, Rongkar is one festival held around the January, February, in which the entire village participate, thanking the various gods for the prosperity and the well-being of the community. The Somkan, also known as Thi Karsi and the Somkankan, is the festival unique to the Karbis. Sankan is the main festival of the Khamtis, and the main festival of the missing people is the Ali Ailingang. It is at the spring the festival that associated with the agriculture, specifically with the beginning of the Ahu paddy cultivation. It is celebrated by the missing ethnic community. The festival marks the onset of the showing seasons. The Mayfield is one of the important festivals observed by the Ahoms from the ancient times. It is celebrated by the Ahom peoples on the 31st January every year in the memory of the departed. It is the manifestation of the concept of the ancestor worships that the Ahoms share with the other people, the originating from the Tai Sha stock. Language and literature. Folk tales and the folk song, the prevalent among the various tribes that provide the foundations to the Assamese literature. Calling the literature based on the mantras of the tantric cult of the times also the contributed to the process the Bangit, Bihugit and the Dihanam, Bainam, etc. In the writer from the becomes the part of the Assamese literature afterward. On the other hand, Ujapale, Thulianas and the Putulanas helped in the developing the dramatic literature. As for the recorded the existence of the old Assamese literature, several masterly writers of the 13th century brought the Vaishnav Renaissance in Assam. Srimanta Sankardev, the founder, by Sri Sankardev, the founder of the Vaishnavism that dealt with the aspect of the life and the culture of the land in which the literacy worked. The translation from the different Sanskritic sources the enriches the literacy traditions of the state in that period. Even before the Sri Sankardev, Madhav Kandale and others had laid the foundations of the mystery literature. In the 16th century, Bhagavad was the redundant into the Assamese prose by the Bhatradev. It was the unique and the pioneering attempt in the prose writing in India. Further, the Ahoms encouraged the writing of the chronicles, the Enitelate, the Buronzes, and thus introduced the new kind of the prose literature. This the Buronzes recording the achievement during the Ahom rule formed the basis of the secular literature in Assamese. The first Assamese journal, the Arunodaya 1846, inspiring the writers. Another journal, Jonaki, published in 1889, 1889, helped in the progresses of the Assamese literature. Led the Chandra Kumar Agrola with his the weekly Assamia 1918 to 58, followed by it is the daily edition under the editorships of the Devakanta Badua and the published from the Guwahati, then Guwahati. Instead, the foundation of the journalistic literature, which was followed by the large number of the newspaper and the journal. The modern Assamese literature has been interest by the works of the Jyoti Prasad Agarwala, Brensi Kumar Barua, Ham Barua, Otul Chandra Hazarika, Nalini Bala Devi, Navakanta Barua, Mamoni Roysam Goswami, Bhavendranath Soikia, Birendranath Bhattacharya and the Homen Borgohai, Nirupama Borgohai, Saurabh Kumar Soliha, and others. The complete work of Jyoti Prasad Agarwala has been translated into Hindi by Devi Prasad Bagrodia. Bagrodia has also translated the Srimad Shankar Gunumala into Hindi. In 1917, the Assam Sahitya Sabha was formed as the guardians of the Assamese society and formed for the development of the Assamese language and the literature. Padmanabh Gohai Barua was the first president of the Sabha. The Bodo Sahitya Sabha, Missing Agom Khebang, and the Karbi Sahitya Sabha are also the helping in the development of the tribal language of the state. Many Assamese writers have the secular national award for their literary works from the Sahitya Academy. The Gyanpith Award was conferred to the Dr. Birendra Kumar Bhattacharya in 1979 and to the late Mamani Raisam Goswami in 2000. And to the late Mamani Raisam Goswami in 2000. Indira Raisam Goswami, the Gyanpith Award winner, is popularly known as the Mamoni Vaido. She is the poet, professor, and the scholar and writer. Some of the famous novels are the Datal Hatir Une Khawa Huat, Chenebor Soro and the More Thora Torwal. Senebo Soro and Mamore Dhora Torwal. She said the language is the velvet dress in which I the individual to the cover the restless souls in the journey through the existence. History. The earliest name of the Assam was the Pragjotis, and it is the capital. Pragjotispur means the eastern light. The regions came to be known as the Kamrup later during the Puranic times after the name of the Kamdev, the god of love. Some they attributed the origin of the word Assam to the Ahoms, who ruled the state for the 600 years, approximate 600 years. While some believe that it is the Anevar, Assam. Topography, the comprising hills and the plains gave it the name Assam. From the 4th century AD, we have the master clearer the picture of the history of Assam with the help of the available sources. The Yuan Sang travel the accountant reveals that the Pushpiya Burma of the Burma dynasty ruled by Kamrup. During that period, he was followed by the other kings. The tells the 7th century when the Bhaskar Burman, the contemporary of the Harshavardhan, came to the role as the last king after the Burma's 3 other dynasties ruled the Kamrup, beginning with the Salastamba, followed by the Palas and then the Khans. It is during the rules of the Khans that the Mughals first invaded Assam. After the fall of the Khans, the Kos rose to the power in 1515 AD. By that time, by that times, the Ahoms were also expanding their rules from the east. The Sutias were ruling in the extreme northeast, the Kasaris in the mid Assam, and in the between them the number of the chieftains called the Bhuans were the exercising all over the Brahmaputra plains. The Ahom subjugate almost all of them, and the consolidated the entire valley into one empire, which they ruled for the almost 600 years. They become and the integral and the dominant forces in the history of Assam. And the offshoot of the ties of the sons of the Southeast Asia, the Ahoms and the Ahoms had their root in the Thailand. They migrated to the Brahmaputra Valley and gave the shapes to the populations of the Assam of today. The Ahoms subsequently ruled the land till the provinces was annexed to the British and in 1826 with the sinking of the Treaty of Yandabu. However, the period to the British, the invasions, the Mughals invaded and occupied the Ahom capital, Gargaon, in 1662, forcing the kings, the Shorkodo, Joydhwa Singh, to the flee to the hills. That subsequently became the most towering the personalities of the Assam history in the form of the Lasit Borpukon and the Army General Lasit that set out for the Guwahati in August 1667. And by the November that year, the ousted the Mughal from the last Ahom frontier, Manas. In the January 1668, the Aurangzeb against the dispatched the large army under the Raja Ram Singh, commandant to the reoccupy Assam. The Raja Ram Singh, the encouraged by his the entail the success. The Lancers at the massive the naval the assault. The Battle of the Soraighat was thus the fought in 1671 between the Mughal Empire led by the Kaswaha kings Raja Ram Singh I and the Ahom kingdoms led by the Lasit Borpukon won the Brahmaputra river at the Soraighat, now in Guwahati. The battles lasted on full day, and Lasit could not be the thwarted these the times. The Mughals army succumbed to the defeat against the small contingent led by the Lasit Borpukon. The best tribute to the Assamese general came from the Raja Ram Singh himself, who wrote that every Assamese soldier is an expert in the rowing the boats, shooting arrows, the digging trenches, and is the wielding cannons and the guns. I have not seen such the uh, specimens of the stealing in any other part of the Indian. Glory to the commander, one single individual led all the forces. Even Ram Singh was not able to find any the loopholes and the opportunity in his game plan to outdo him. The Battle of the Soraighat was the final battle in the last major attempt by the Mughals to extend their empire into Assam. Colonial period. In the 1816, the Burmese troops attacked the Assam and then against in 1819 for a very brief period. The virtuals ruled the entire the Assam from the 1819 to the 1824. The regions of the terror was the unleashed by the Burmese on the peoples of Assam, who fled to the neighboring kingdoms and the British rural Bengals. The war concluded after the signing of the Treaty of Yandabu in 1826 between the Burmese and the British, with the British taking the control of the western Assam. The Purananda Singha was met the kings of Upper Assam by the British in 1833. The arrestment lasts till the 1838. The Thereafter, the British gradually annexed the entire region. Tea cultivation was introduced on the commercial scale by the British. The discovery of the Camellia sinensis, a variety of tea, which is different from the Chinese variations, has the pivotal role in the historic and past of the Assam as well as the present day from the 1839 onward. However, the hybridous variations of the Chinese and Assam tea plants, the Camellia assamica, proved to be the more successful in Assam, the climate and the terrain. The breakthrough led the East India the Company to the initiate the long drawn the process of the disposition of the agricultural land and the forest owned by the commoners through the infamous Westland Act, the allowing the significant protections of the provision the originally processed by the private onward to be. The transformation into the tea plantations areas the ship obstacles to the success of the truly the commercial enterprise were the lack of the labor and the capital. Therefore, the prospect of tea industry made the rules bring in the laborers from the eastern and the central India. Today, this the community is an integral part of Assam. Decades later, in 1906, the Assam was made part of the Eastern Bengal and the Assam provinces. This was however revoked in the 1911. In 1913, the first linguistic council of Assam was formed, which transformed into the Assam the Legislative Assembly in 1937 at the Shillong. The erstwhile capital of the Assam, with the partitions of India in 1947, Assam became a constituted state of Assam. The district of Sylhet in Assam, the excluding Karimganj subdivisions, was given to the East Pakistan, which later became the Bangladesh. With the Sylhet, the referendum held in the 1946, these two arrangements causes the large-scale migration into Assam. Stilwell Road. The Stilwell Road, whose the original name was the Lidu Road, the 1736 km 1736 km long highway links the northeast India with the Burma Road that runs from the Burma to the Kunming in China, of the which the 769 km is in the Indian and Burma. During the World War II, the Stilwell Road named after the regional commander of the U.S. Army, General Stilwell, as the strategical military route built by the by the U.S. Army, the engineers in 1942 to the link the railhead of the Lidu, Assam, India, and the Magwang, Burma, Chinese. The troops of the latter aided the project and extended it is to the Kunming in China. The highway crossed into the Burma and was known as the Lidu Road until January 1945, when the connection via the Maiting Yang and the Bhomo was complete to the Burma Road to Muse Singang Kai Seng. Chiang Kai-shek, Chiang Kai-shek is the Chinese military and political leader. Then the renamed the highway is the honor of the U.S. General Joseph W. Stilwell. Assam contributions to the Indian freedom struggle. Assam contribution to the freedom struggle was evident from the days of the Sipahi mutiny of the 1857. The Moniram Devan, the first Assamese tea planter, was the interest in the establishing private tea the plantations in Assam. Due to the oppositions the faces from the British in the establishing private tea plantations, he became the hostile to the British and revolted by the opposing their policies. When the Indian the Sepoy started and the uprising against the British, he the could see and the opportunity, and together with other the activities like the Pioli Borua, he the conspired against the he along with other the leaders was arrested. Moniram Dewan and Pioli Boro were the publicly the hanged by the British for the conspiracy against them during the 1857 Sipahi mutiny. That was the really the mourned in the Assam and the resultant in and the open uprising which was the suppresses the brutally. At the turn of the century 1920, Assam joined the freedoms movement led by the Mahatma Gandhi. Assamese the patriot like the Torun Ram Phukon, Nabin Chandra Bordoloi, Ham Borwa and others joined the national struggle for independence. Even in the 1942, the Quit India movement as a member of martyrs laid down their lives, of which the special mentions may be the made of the Kanaklata and the Tinagat girls who died in the police firing while trying to hoist the national flag at the police station of Gohapur. Kushal Kanwar, another young freedom fighter, was the fells the implicated in the train derailment caused by the British and was the executed. The besides this other the incident like the investigations of the military air the strip or at the Shorbok by the local palace took place. In this way, the peoples of the different ethnic the groups the residing in Assam the jointly participate in the freedom struggle. After the independence, Gopinath Bordoli was the elected the first chief minister of Assam. Natural vegetation and biodiversity. Assam is dominated by the alluvial plain of Brahmaputra. Sorry. Assam is dominated by the alluvial plain of the Brahmaputra and the Borak. Apart from it is the tributaries, the Mikri Hills, the Plateau, Karbi alongs the North Kasar Hills and the marginal plateau and hills the from the adjoining state makes up the highland. According to the legend, the Brahmaputra is the son of the Hindu god Burma and has the name the Burma's Putro or the Brahmaputra. It is the denoted as the male river. The Brahmaputra is the transboundary river the originating in the Sema Yangdang glacier near the Mount Kailash in the northern Himalayas at the altitude of the around the 5,250 meters above the mean sea level (MSL). It follows as the Yarlong Tasangpo eastward across Tibet. The river the entire and Arunachal Pradesh Assam, descending the rapidly onto the plains where it is called the Dihang. It's the follow for about the 35 kilometers to meet the rivers the Dihang and Lohit. From this point of the confluence the river that become the wider up to the 10 kilometer in the breadth, and it's the called the Brahmaputra. After the following the 918 kilometer in India, the river entered the Bangladesh as magma. Bangladesh as Magna. The river entered the Bangladesh as Magna. Before the completing it is a journey into the Bay of Bengal. The total length of Brahmaputra is around 2,900 km. The Brahmaputra has over the 120 tributaries and the distributaries, that makes the Assam's Brahmaputra valley fertile. The magnitude of the Brahmaputra river system can be understood from the fact that it is the carrier one-third of the entire the surface water in the country. It has the both been the boon and the band for Assam's the plains. The rivers has been the sustaining the multiplicity of the ethnic entities since the prehistoric times. Along with it is the tributaries, it is the contributed to the fertility of the soil and promoted the agriculture trade and the cultural development of Assam. Beside the crafting, it is the landscapes, however, every year floods due to the swelling of the Brahmaputra, and it is the tributaries that inflict the damage to the state economy. Lad Bhupen Hazarika has the penned the song which reflect the Brahmaputra contribution in the life of the people of the Northeast. Mahabahu Brahmaputra মহি মিলনৰ তীৰ্থা কত যোগ ধৰি আহিছে পৰকাশী সামনৰত্ব the Mahabahu Brahmaputra means the great river Brahmaputra. Mahamilanar Tirthe awaits the pilgrims for কত জগৎ ধৰি আহিছে ইউনিফ্ৰেকশন পৰকাশী expression through the as Samanarithya, the meanings of the solidarity. Mahabahu, great river. The Borak originated at the Borali Range south of the Kohima at the altitude of the 2,995 meters above the MSL. And follow through the South Assam. The river the bifurcates into the Surma and the Kushiara near the Assam-Bangladesh border. This river follows through the Bangladesh and join and all the channel of the Brahmaputra to the from the Meghna. Kaziranga is the home to the Integrated Indian one-horned rhinoceros, the state animal of Assam. The state is also the habitat for the numerous other the indigenous and the threatened species, including the white-winged wood duck or the devha. The state bird, the Bengal pheasant, the black-breasted, the parrotbill, Bengal tiger, Asian elephant, and the Paragimi hawk, wild water buffalo, Indian hawk deer, golden langur, Ganges river dolphin, and many other. The state has the largest populations of the wild water the buffalo in the world. In the addition to the above, there are the national park in Assam, namely Dibu Soika National Park, Nameri National Park, Orang National Park, Povitra Morat Longori, and the Dihang Patkai Wildlife Sanctuary. Assam also has many important bird sanctuaries. The best known the beginning, the Dipurbil Bird Sanctuary, a Ramsar site under the Guwahati municipal limits. The Assam has the many as the 51 forest types and the subtypes, and the species diversity is the particular the Holong, Diptero, Carpushma Crocarpus, the tallest tree of Assam, and also the state tree, is the most predominant constituent of this the forest. The associate species are the Borpat, Jutili, Sham, Devasam, Nahar, Titasap, Velu, Makai, etc. In the Assam, as the many as the 293 species of the orchid are the reported. The Kopo foxtail orchid is the state flower. The recently established the Kazirunga National Park orchid and the biodiversity park the boast of the more than 500 of the established 1314 orchid the species found in India. The Assam capital city Guwahati, also known as the Dispur, became the first city in the country to have it is the on the city animal after the Kamrup Metropolitan District Administration declared the Gangetic River dolphin as it is the official mascot. The Gangetic River the dolphin is locally known as the Shishu, and it is on the verge of the extinction. Some eminent personalities. Srimanto Sankadev, 1449 to 1568, was the founder of the Vaishnavite sect in Assam. He was perhaps the most versatile saint in the Indian history. Versatile saint in the Indian history. As a visionary, the social reformer, dramatic artist, etc. Shankadev was born at the times when the Assam was passing through the political turmoil. The Ahom controlled the eastern part and the coast, the west, and the myriad the socio-economic problem. The land was divided among the people of the diverse religions, the sect, and the faith. In 1481, the composed is the earliest the Borgit. He also began the discussing his knew the concept of the Neo-Vaishnavism by the holding regular the discourse of the prayers. This the palace became the center for the establishments of the evening the monastic institution called the Satra, which has the influence the Assamese the most. Srimanta wrote the Sinha Yatra, is the first play for the drama with the paintings of the Vaikuntha, Lord Vishnu, the celestial abode. The follow by this he wrote many other the banas at the evening from the of the drama. In the 1516 to 17 AD, when the Boers came under the attack from the Kasaris in the south, Shankardev was the forces to the retired to Majoli. In the Majoli, he meet the Madhavdev. He is the leading the discipline, and together the two career for the bhakti and the Akashania movement with the uh, tremendous the vigor and the momentum. The composed the Numerous, the Pele and the Borgate and the set up the Satra beginning the first one at the Duahat Belgori. Duahat Belgori where they stayed for the 18 years. The Srimanta Sankot the Gunumala was the letter that translated to Hindi by the Devi Prasad Bakrodia. The Ahom kings who followed the Burmanical orders did not approve of the Sankat Dev teaching. So he then shifted to the Kamrup, then the ruled by the coast king Nannarian, the praising the new faith and the sittings of the Satras in the various the places. He spent his later life in the coast Bihar, now in the West Bengal, under the patronage of the Nannarian and the bread his the last there in 1568 AD. Moniram Dattabarua 1806 to 58. The popularly known as the Moniram Dewan was and the Assamese nobleman in British India. He was of the first indigenous the entrepreneur to the established tea garden in Assam is the loyal elevate of the British East Indian Company in his early year. He was hanged by the British for the conspiracy against them during the 1857 uprisings. He was popular among the peoples of the Upper Assam for his title as the Kalita Raja, kings of the Kalita caste. Rosharas Lokminath Besboro 1868 to 1938 is well known as the personality of the Assam who gave the new momentum to the Assamese literature. He was popularly known as the Rosharas, which means king of the Homrur. Also the fondly called the Chaitya. He dominated the Assamese literary areas for the almost half a century. During his lifetime, he developed himself to the reviving the lost glory of the Assamese literature. Lakshminath Besbora is considered to be the pioneer of the modern Assamese literature, and his contributions toward it is the upliftment. It is the not worthy. He started his literary career with the Scholastic Lithicae, the serialist from the first issue of the Jonaki magazine. He wrote a number of the autobiographies, buffooneries, historical works, the biographies, and one act the plays. He also wrote the children's books and the compilation folk tales of the Assam. Sadhu Kata. Beside he wrote the short stories which covered the difference the features of the Assamese society with the humorous sentiment which affected him the name Rosharas. He was known as the patriarch, the Pelewat, and wrote the three historical plays, namely the Joymoti Quarry, Chakradwar Singh, and the Belimar. He was the composer of the O More Afonar Das, the patriotic song which is the state anthem of Assam. Chandraprabha Soikya 1901 to 72 was a social reformer, writer, and the freedom fighter from Assam. She was the founder of the All Assam Pradeshik Mahila Samiti, a non-governmental organization working for the welfare of the women in the Assam, and was the recipient of the Padma Shri in 1972. Rupkar Jyoti Prasad Agrola, 1903 to 51, was the another element of the personality who contributed immensely to the culture of Assam. He is the father of the Assamese film industry and produced the first film Joymoti as early as the 1935. This was followed by the other films in the Assamese. He the first set up at the studio the Citraban in the Bholaguri tea estate. In the Tezpur in the 1934, he also built at the cinema hall Zonaki in Tezpur. In 1937, another the contributions of the Agrola is the publications of the newspaper the Ohomia in 1944. He is popularly known as the Rupkar of Assam. He wrote the play and composed the lying and the musics of the large number of the songs which are called the Jyoti Sangeet. Assam is known for producing several talented individuals in the field of the arts, the literature, and the music. However, finding someone as talented and versatile and as the lad Vishnu Prasad Rabha, 1909 to 69, is almost impossible. His contributions to the folk, classical music, literature, and the dance and the unparalleled. This earned him the title the Kalaguru, which means the master of arts. The multifaceted genius. Multifaceted genius, he was the talented writer, singer, dancer, and the poet. He wrote a number of the Assamese songs and was regarded as the great Borgate singer of Assam. Bhupen Hazarika, 1926 to 2011, widely known as the Sudakanta, was the licensed musician, singer, poet, and the filmmaker from Assam. His songwriter and sung mainly in Assamese by himself are marked by the humanity and the universal brotherhood, and have been translated and sung in the many languages. He is acknowledged to have introduced the culture and the folk music of the Assam and the Northeast Indian to Hindi cinema, and received the National Film Award for the Best Music Directions in 1975. Recipient of the Sangeet Natak Academy Award 1987, Padma Shri 1997, and Padma Bhushan 2001, and Hazarika was also awarded with the Dadasaheb Phalke Award 1992, Indian the highest award in cinema by the government of India. He was also the recipient of the Sangeet Natak Academy Fellowships 2008, the highest award of the Sangeet Natak Academy, Indian National Academy for Music, Dance and the Drama. He was the he was posthumously awarded with the Padma Vibhushan's Indian second highest civilization award in 2012. Upendranath Verma and Upendranath Verma and Bhupen Hazarika Padma Shri in 2019. Sorry. He was posthumously awarded with the Padma Shri, Indian the highest civilian award, Padma Shri award in 2019. Upendranath Verma 1957 to 90, lovingly known as the Bodopha, father of Bodos, all through life for only 33 years. Will always be the remembered for his visionary leaderships and the sacrifice he made for the causes of his people. Today his name is the sources of the determinations and the sacrifice for the Bodos people. He is the considered and the icon of the leaderships, the sacrifice and unity in Assam. Gopinath Bordoloi, 1892-1950, was the Prime Minister of the individual Assam and the first Chief Minister of the state after the independence. The actively participate in the Indian freedom movement and the worker for the peace and the communal harmony in the state. He was awarded with the Bharat Ratna. Sorry, Bhupen Hazarikar, not a Padma Shri. Bhupen Hazarika, he was awarded with the Bharat Ratna posthumously in the 2019. Yes, against Gopinath Bordoloi. सॉरी मैं जो कुछ बोला था पद्मश्री नॉट ए पद्मश्री, ये भारत रत्न था 2019 में पाया था डॉक्टर भूपेन हाजरिका में. अभी फिर से गोपीनाथ बरदলৈ के कुछ पढ़ूंगा. Gopinath Bordoloi 1819-1950 was the Prime Minister of the individual Assam and the first Chief Minister of the state after the independence. He actively participated in Indian freedom movement and the work for the peace and the communal harmony in the state. He was awarded with the Bharat Ratna posthumously in 1999. The Guwahati Airport is the name the Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloi International Airport. It is the foundation of the school education remain weak and narrow. It is of the no use to the make the elaborate the preparations for the higher education in the university, said K.K. Handikar, 1898 to 1982. The great Sanskritic scholar and the ideologist, he was the renowned the Assamese scholar and the educationist. He was the principal of the Upper Assam College, the late J.B. College, Jorhat, and the vice chancellor of the Guwahati University, the first university set up in the northeast. He was awarded with the Padma Shri in 1955 and the Padma Bhushan in 1967. भूपेन हाजरिका, तो मेरा कुछ गलत बात बोल दिया भूपेन हाजरिका के बारे में. जैसे भूपेन हाजरिका बहुत सारे अवार्ड पाया, तो उस अवार्ड के बारे में फिर से रिपीट करूँगा. तो जो मैं भारत रत्न नहीं बोला था, तो इस बारे में बोलूँगा, तो इसीलिए मैं सॉरी बोलता हूँ. तो भूपेन हाजरिका, he received the National Film Award, the Best Music Director in 1975, the recipient of the Sangeet Natak Academy Award 1987 Padma Shri 1997 and the Padma Bhushan 2001. Hazarika was also awarded with the Dada Saheb Phalke Award 1992. Indian the highest award in cinema by the government of India. He was also the recipient of the Sangeet Natak Academy, the Fellowship 2008, the highest awarded of the Sangeet Natak Academy. Indian the National Academy for the Music, Dance and the Drama. He was the posthumously awarded with the Padma Bhushan. Indian the second highest civilization award in 2012. And he was the awarded with the Bharat Ratna posthumously in 2019. Places and interests. The Assam has the provisions of the national parks, sanctuaries, and the wetland. Beside the reserve, the forests that the house some of the Indians most integrate the animals and birds. It is the home to of the Indian 5 World Heritage Site. Kaziranga is the central Assam and the Manas close to the Bhutan border. The Kamakya temple is one of the most vinaigrette the Sakti shrines in the Indian, associated with the legend of the sheep and the Taksha Yanga, located on the Nilasol hill or the Kamagiri. It is the adobe of the goddess the Kamakya and at the prime center of the tantric practice in the country. The temple was constructed in the 1562 AD at the behest of the coast king Nannarayan. Lakhs of people from all over the country come to the singing the throughout the year to offer the prayers. The most important annual the festival here in Ambubasi, which is held every year in the month of the Ashadha June. The Brahmaputra has the crab and the Gradient the Majuli, the world's largest inhabited river island and the seat of the Vaishnavism in Assam. It is situated 200 km east of the Guwahati. Local the people still speak the Borjavali, the ancient tongues of Mathura in Uttar Pradesh, suggesting cultural the linkage between the two places. Majuli has 23 villages with the density of the 300 individual per the square kilometer. The majority of the inhabitants are the Mishings, the tribes that migrate from the Arunachal Pradesh as centuries ago. The Deori and the Sonal Kasari tribes to have the sizable the predecessors dressed to the Assamese speaking non-tribal peoples. For the Iceland, the only mode of the communications is the fairly service. Majuli has been the seat of the Assamese civilization since the Shankardev, the 16th century, the Vaishnavite son, who established the Satras monasteries on it. The pottery made by the women of the Majuli is the famous for it is the striking similarity with the Harappa pottery. This similarity has made the archaeologists drawn the link between the Majuli and the Indus Valley civilization. The Iceland has been under the threat due to the extensive soil erosion at it is the banks. The reporters say the Majuli had and the areas of 1150 square kilometer in 1853. The Brahmaputra took about the 33% of this land mass. By the latter, the half of the 20th century, the rate of the erosion increases after the 1974. and it is the reported that over the 35 villages have been the washed away since 1991, and the fisheries of the Majuli is threatened. The Satro and the institutional center associated with the Akashwana traditions of the Vaishnavism in Assam and the neighboring regions. This the Satro as the 100 in the human number in Assam. These Satro are the 100 in the number in Assam. They are the generally independent of each other and as under the control of the individual Satrothikars, the chief. These the centers the maintains at least the prayer house the Namkar or Kirtankar. In it the peoples to the Ikasana traditions and included them as the disciplines of the Satra from whom the texts and other religions duties are the collected. Many of the larger Satras house the 100 of the celebrate and the non-celebrate the Bhaktas monk. All by the land and are the repositories of the religions and the cultural releases and the artifacts. The Namkor is the important the institution the Srimanto Shankardev gives to the Assamese society. Every village has the Namkor where the apart from the offering the prayers the community carries out the culture and the social activities as well as the resolutions of the dispute. The Satro dance form was introduced in the 15th century by the Srimanto Shankardev in the Vaishnav Satras of Assam. It is the dance, the drama performance which was recognized by the Sangeet Natak Academy as the Indian classical dance along with the other 7 forms in 2000. Pua Makkah, meaning the quarter of Makkah, is the place of the pilgrimage of Muslims in Assam. It is located at Hazo, near Guwahati, according to the legend, and the Iraqi princess turns of Prishar Geshuddin Aliya is said to have brought the lump of the earth from the Mecca and initiated the Sam at the spot here in the 12th century AD. Subsequently, the mosque was built by the Shazauddin by the Shazauddin Muhammad Shah in 1657 AD. It is heard by the Muslim that by the offering the prayers at this the mosque one gained one for the spiritual enlightenment of the what could be the gained by the praying at Mecca. Rangkor or the royal the pavilion was first built by the Sargodav heavenly king the Rudra Singh 1696 to 740 and the later development by his here the promoter Singh in 1744 at the Rupahi Pathar in Shivsagar. The Rangkar northern and the western side are the longer. Each with the 3 largest and 2 small opening. The buildings has 2 the storage is divided internally into 1 large the central room the flanked by 2 the smaller one at the eastern and the western end. The eastern mount the surrounded the Rangkar where the peoples used to the sit. The Rudra Singha the formalists the event of the sport as where the prevent during the time. The kings his the queen and his the official used to the enjoy the games and the sport from the upper story of the Rangghor, where the common peoples enjoy the staying on the Erythrian Mound. Karanghor is one of the most striking example of the Ahom architecture. It is located in the place called Gargaon, Shivsagar, in Assam. The palace structure and made of the wood and the stone. From east to west, the several rooms run along a long corridor. And from the north to south are the smaller the wings. The ground floor serve as the stables, the storm room, and the servant quarters. The royal apartment were on the upper story, of which only a few rooms now remain. There are the straight the leadings to the terrace. The earliest the constructions were during the times of the Swargado Rudra Singha in 1698 AD. After his death, the Karankar, which together with the underground the Talatal Ghor, constitute the Rangpur Palace, went through the many architecture alteration. Conclusion. The Assam landscape presents the picturesque golden green view of the rice field and the beautiful tree estates. One should visit the estate to experience the beauty of the nature and the culture of the people. It has the unique example of the celebrating the diversities of the land. People belonging to the various the culture, race and the faith life here. It has been the home to the various the craft as well. The hospitable populations, the disintegration and the artistic heritage at too. It is the amazing natural the beauty is marked by the existing dance form and the string of the elegant temples tropes. It is the least of it is the innumerable attraction. थैंक यू सो मच माय डियर फ्रेंड. तो इस वीडियो को कैसे लगा कमेंट में ज़रूर कमेंट कर देना. तो इस तरह से लाइव वीडियो और भी बनाऊंगा और भी कुछ दिन के बाद सी सेट के क्लास नहीं यहाँ पे मैं पढ़ूंगा. जो भी पढ़ूंगा यहाँ पे शो करूंगा. तो उस वीडियो आप देखते रहे आसानी से. हिंदी लैंग्वेज में वही सी सेट के क्लास में बोलूँगा. क्लास नहीं मैं जो भी प्रैक्टिस करूँगा वही बात दिखाऊंगा. थैंक यू सो मच लाइव वीडियो देखने के लिए. थैंक यू सो मच इस लाइव वीडियो देखने के लिए. थैंक यू.